Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 186 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we are going to add assembling machines to the bus. Enjoy. We still want to focus on all of the things that we need to build for these general manufacturing squares here. And we're getting fairly close. I think the only thing that's not being manufactured now is the assembling machines, the lights, and the electronics assembling machines, which are occasionally used. So I think once we have those things, we'll be able to give robots full access to all of that stuff. And let's see what we did down here. Looks like we had a bunch of belts going in, and they probably all use fairly similar resources. This could be a situation for doing this with bots like we did here. This is still something that you probably want to avoid unless it's for items that are exceptionally complicated, and also you don't need too many of them. And we, generally speaking, don't need that many bot parts. What we do need a bunch of are assembling machines, so we probably should try to make assembling machines be done with inserters. And let's follow that chain down and see if both those machine types use similar resources, because they probably do. So our end goal is number 4, and we'll just do one machine, and we got to go through each type. Grab this one, and of course the burner version. Okay, that's 5 steps of fairly complicated resources, and the other one is just assembling machine 2. Let's double check to make sure we can't do any of the other ones. Okay, so number 3 is actually a fairly high tier item that we can't do, so we're going to use number 2. So number 2 from one machine, and then number 1. And unfortunately, it does look like it kind of requires a bunch of random resources. So doing this strictly with belts might be more complicated than it's worth. Like some of these machines use iron gear wheels, which aren't used on the other side. They use the basic circuit boards that aren't used. And with every additional tier, it gets more and more complicated, and bots make things progressively easier. That's probably another way of looking at it, is like, how many belts would we have to have going along each side of these machines? And if it's any more than 6 belts, then it's probably not worth it. And what I mean by 6 is this would be 4. So 3 belts on one side, 3 belts on the other side. And after you get to that point, that's really wide for a set of machines. And I think we'd probably be at that point here, because we would have, well, even if we're only using half belts, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then like 6.5, like 7, and like 7.5, something like that. It'd be a lot. So we're going to do some trusty bots again. And we probably want to make sure we don't have any big limitations. This uses a lot of steel, so it's kind of a known limitation to put that in there. But for these, since we use a lot more of them, we probably don't want to have a big limitation like that. Because you see, we have fairly large inputs of things like aluminum plates and whatnot. So we're probably going to have a bunch of machines off to the side handling all of this. Quite a few, as it turns out. So we're going to need to have a couple of lines of machines. And let's just do a bunch of inserters. We'll just do the chest right next to there, and they can direct insert into that. And we can make that easy by limiting them to 1 slot there. And we'll want to space it out a healthy amount. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we need to do the same thing for steel, but make it bigger. This time with 14 machines. nice having bots help out now. Let's put a storage chest in here, so we can just give them what they need. Probably need a bunch more of those productivity modules. Luckily, we can get there fast now. Almost too fast. Then we need the same thing. This time, 12 machines. Which we can just grab with this. It's nice building things a little differently every time. Certainly this setup becomes a lot bigger when you consider all of the plate choppers that have to be in here. But they're like that because of the efficiency modules, so I guess it makes sense. And that's it for the base resources. We probably want to have some room for the bots to park. And a charge port too. And then let's try to line it up with up here. Guess I'll grab all that stuff again. And we do want to sort of add some space in here. Let's see. We're kind of running into some throughput issues on this side. So how about we do this? Where that's the buffer chest, or functioning as such. And let's see, it's not quite fast enough. And those put the resources forward. So we need 5 tiers of these. So tier 0, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. And looks like we need some efficiency modules. Let's see, these all have fairly aggressive resource requirements. So how about, instead of worrying too much about calculating each one of those and exactly how much we would need, let's just put 3 chests there with the inserters. Then we can just kind of copy the requests in there. And here they come to help. Which is fine, I guess, but we definitely want to move our items over here. So the bots have to travel less distance. And we still got these fast loaders that aren't part of the system yet. And let's see where to put these power poles. Seems like that works pretty well. Man, that's so many bots. Look at that. That is a flurry. We definitely want all of these inserters set correctly. Let's just go with 50. Yeah, it's hard to see with all these bots. And also these need to pick up the unneeded items here. Okay, let's try to limit the amount of bots here by giving them resources a little closer. Talk about a complicated belt setup right there, but I think I got it all in there. And the bots are finally catching up. Looks like we had another crash here. It's becoming somewhat regular. So for now, let's put some repair packs in there. Let the robots handle that. We'll probably want to automate those as well. Okay, I think we got all the resources coming in here. Rather than set each one of these individually, we'll just set that to anything and see what happens. Probably a higher number than 100. About 200. So when all this gets hooked up, a lot of these machines should start up. Well, seems not, because that setting wasn't correct. False when there are no inputs. Then I guess we do everything. Make sure it stops, and it does. Okay. Ah yes, they're still going over there though, because we still need to hook up these coils. Ah yes, and those actually need to be set to the correct types. So it's steel and then iron. So hopefully this will help the bots not having to travel quite as far. There we go. A flurry of bots as you would expect. Probably time for some lights. Looks like some of these haven't had any lights placed in them. Might want to add another charge port here just in case. It's definitely kind of hard to see what's going on when there's all these bots here. Seem to be doing pretty decent with power. We can try to look at the research queue and see if we can add anything in here. One thing that was kind of recently changed is that the barreling recipes were kind of split into their own thing. So now if we want barrels, we have to research them individually, and we've already been using barrels, so it's a little awkward, but we haven't needed them recently. But we can grab that, and it's kind of funny, you see that we have the bottled gas processing already because the research kind of changed. And then to do these fluid canisters, you need to make a empty canister, which is basically made out of plastic. And then to carry the gas, you need the canisters and add steel. But that's just a little thing to catch up with research. We don't need the exoskeleton for now, but we might as well research it, just because it's something that we can do. And the next tier we can't right now. Let's see, we can do the mining vehicle 3, which is interesting. It'll be a tiny bit faster than the Mark II, but we do use it, so we'll grab it. And there's yet another one. Can we do this one? No. We just need the electronic boards. And we are getting access to ducts now, but it looks like we need titanium for that, so we're not quite ready. I kind of want to wait and research this stuff once we're at the point of being able to mass manufacture it. Though there is a vehicle fusion reactor, which is interesting after spending that time kind of modifying the crawler. This seems kind of broken to give it to you so early, where it's 15 megawatts just all of the time. So I think I'm actually going to avoid researching that now, because that really seems like it should be a further technology. Because if you search the other fusion reactors, I mean, they're not that far away. They are blue science, but you see they require the green circuits. So it seems a little broken right now to have access to that. So I'm going to avoid them for now. We do have some of these other incremental upgrades though. Might as well upgrade our follower count. That's probably going to take a reasonable amount of time. And we can keep taking it down the chain here. That'll keep the research line busy for a while. Let's see, a random slight efficiency increase we can do is to put an inserter right there. Because we do need these engines and the machine is right there. So we might as well. And we'll put another one in here. So they're on top of each other. That should help a little bit. Small efficiencies, but might as well stick them in there if we can. Took quite a while to get up there. It seems like there's a pretty big limitation on items here. So we probably could have used a pretty significant amount of belts because of the input requirements here, but it seems okay. And let's add the any other tiers of robot follower. So I guess this one more. I did notice one error here. I was just copying the things over, but I don't want them to be placing the chest input requirements. So I probably should have paid a little more attention to that. Probably why it took so long. That would explain it. Because I saw the bots moving these items back and forth, which is not expected behavior. I don't want the bots to be moving those. So I got to be more careful in the future of just shift-clicking recipes in there. Okay. Hopefully that's better. And of course there's a ton of extra machines in there now, but it should be good. Now let's create some requests. We definitely want 50 of the assembler machines. The blue ones anyway. So they come in to help. But we really don't want any of the other ones. And I hear robots doing things in there. And we also want a stack of these. And none of tier 1. Ah yes, that's much quieter now. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And also I see we have our warehouses ready. We kind of do need to manufacture some of these, but I don't know how often we're actually going to need them. So for now, I'll just handcraft it and let the bots bring me all of the extra resources. Easy, easy. So, we don't know exactly where we'd want to place this. But for now, this is a pretty conspicuous place to put it, so we'll just put it there. So where do they put that vehicle? Okay, here we go. Mining vehicle 3, and we need speed module 1s. Which is the interesting thing about speed modules, is there's a lot of random things that need random tiers of speed modules. So let's grab our speed modules in here real fast. I guess we needed 5 of them, so put the rest of them in there. So we should be able to make our vehicle. No, yep. And let's check the speed difference. It's probably not going to be that big a difference, but it does look like the actual mining speed is much higher. We don't really use it for that very much, for like mining patches. But it looks like that would be the huge upgrade to this. So let's put this in here and test it. See what it's like. It's fairly slow. And it'll also be kind of fairly slow with the next one here. But probably a little bit less fairly slow. Oh, that's actually a little decent. It's no crawler, but actually helps a little bit. So building roads will be easier. Okay, we need to do these other machines. And we want to do something similar. Let's just add a space in here. Something like this. We do need the requester chests. We want to be careful though. Make sure that we're not including anything in there we don't want to. So we want to remove that. And it's a flurry of bots. I see them bringing items to us. They are going all the way out there, but I think that's just because of belt speed limitations here. Might want to set these numbers higher than 200 to make that less of a problem. So let's set that to 1,000. And probably want to do something similar to these as well. It looks like that worked a lot faster when they weren't producing unnecessary buildings. Looking good here. What about the science bus? Seems pretty good. It's not necessarily fast enough to fill all these up, but it doesn't need to be as long as it's running at full blast. And it seems to be. Let's double check on resources to see if anything's run out, because we have been switching things to coils. Looks like we haven't quite run out of steel here yet, so we're not ready to convert that. Let's see, up here at electronics, we're not through the aluminum yet. Otherwise, things look okay. Okay, we're actually getting fairly close into clearing a lot of this stuff out. Well, for now, I kind of want to go down there and grab a bunch of stuff. No, 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 no. Logistics off, logistics off. And let's pick up some of those setups. So we can kind of use whatever's remaining as a bit of a hint about the things we still need to build. Or even whether or not we want to build them. Because some things like the ammo, we're going to build in a different ammunition bus, so we're not even going to make those again. Oh yes, we probably should double check power. Make sure it's doing okay. Yeah, seems to be. Well, there's a bunch of random stuff in there, but I guess we'll deal with that later. See, having bots pick this up would be a little bit of a grind, but at the same time, manually picking it up would also be a grind. So let's use this. I modified this to basically not have the burner generator filled with fuel. That is a way to make sure that it doesn't run until at least the solar panels and batteries have run out. So you might have to babysit a little bit, but we can control it based on just fueling up the generator. Looks like it does not have the belt immunity equipment installed. We'll have to see how this works and maybe reinstall it. So for now, let's just kind of go through here and slice a lot of this off, because it has been replaced. All of this. The ammo. We'll still leave it hooked up, because we've already made a bunch of this. And stone, I guess I'll leave in there now in case it's going somewhere important. But we've got power poles done. And I guess we do need to work on solar panels. And I believe we do have access to the next tier of them. Solar panel 2. We've been using solar panel 2s that use silver plates on our vehicles and inventory for quite some time. But we needed blue science to get access to it for the base in general. And we don't necessarily need to go around replacing all our panels yet, especially because they're super dense and we probably have to pick them all up and place them back down to do it. So we probably want to set up bots to do that, so that would kind of involve redoing that. But for now, we might as well research that and get that started. So we'll stop it here for now then, since we have something we want to do. And then the rest of this should all be stuff we don't need anymore. Well, let's start with this and see how the bots handle it. Takes them quite some time because they have to pick up all the individual items on the belts too. Oh, they're pretty fast though. It is daytime currently, so this is a good test of the solar panels. Wait for them all to go into charge. There they go. Seems like they do it pretty quickly. And charge is going down. But it's back, and actually if you look at it, it's going up fairly fast. So it actually might have a decent capacity on its own. Without using the burner generator at all. Okay, that was a good test. Here's some more work for you to do. We have to be careful about what we select here. Well, they seem pretty good. As long as the batteries hold out. I mean, look at that. Line of bots. And there it goes. Let's try again here. It looks like that concrete isn't connected to anything, so we probably can pick all that up too. There is 10K of concrete in there, but bots don't care. At least these ones don't seem to. They're more than willing to work. You probably can't help them a little bit there, just by picking the items up. It's definitely using more power than it is creating with the solar panels. But seems like it's working alright. So we don't need this concrete maker either. Looks like the carbon train's falling behind, but I think that's fairly normal. And we can pick up these pipes by hand. And look at all that inventory being taken up by junk. That's kind of why I wanted help with this. Looks like we have some robots left over, so I guess we don't have quite enough control. Or maybe the control was calculated incorrectly. Yeah, it seems like it. That we are missing one RoboPort control. Might as well upgrade it. If we can. I don't know. Actually, replacing that might be kind of difficult right now. And it looks like they're about to run out of power. So with that, we can put some fuel in there. And keep the excitement going. Let's see if there's anything else here we can remove. Well, we definitely don't need these engines anymore. Although probably should keep all of this kind of connected for the short term, just to make sure we're making the things we need. And we probably don't need this little setup area anymore. Don't need the bearings either. It's fun just watching the bots do their thing. We don't need batteries anymore. We have used barrels in the past for things, but we probably don't need to manufacture any more because we've got tons of barrels now. And that seems pretty good. Let's try to clear out the items we can now. Some of this stuff is a little weird. Like sand. I don't think we use sand for anything anymore. Do we have a bunch of places for barrels down here? Kind of, but it's also kind of full, but at least we have somewhere to put them. Well, that's a lot of barrels. But, We're doing pretty good here. Looks like the only thing that's left are all those residuals. It would be nice to take care of those, but we'll worry about that a little later. And this is disconnected. I guess it wouldn't even need to be connected at all. Now the question is what to do with all this sand. What does it actually go into? The tier 1 of concrete and tier 1 of glass and wash sand. It does go into like Benefred and stuff, but I think I am okay with sacrificing the sand to the void here. Thanks, bots. Okay. Well, we did do a little bit of shooting. It's not much, but we can replace our rifle with the sniper rifle. So we need wood and glass. There should be some glass in here, you would think. But whatever. We'll go back to base and get some. Because if the rifle is slower and more powerful, then the sniper rifle is that times 2. Very long distance, very short shooting, so absolutely terrible at many small biters, but great at going after like the big spitter buildings and whatnot. And there we go. Let's see how it works. Should have a pretty long range to it. It took one shot. Okay, well. The truck has an absolutely huge amount of crap in it. But eventually, all that stuff is going to have somewhere to go. So the best thing we can do is probably take it back to our growing bus and put all the items in the trash lots and see what happens to them. That some of them will certainly find their way to where they need to go. It's interesting how that's completely unhooked. I guess it doesn't really matter. But it probably should be hooked up there. Let's see, no Invar plate. Let's see. It looks like it's just an iron shortage. Because we are creating it very quickly. And most of the resources look pretty healthy. Nickel is very slowly working its way down, but it is. And in fact, yeah, it looks like a lot of these got unhooked, these irons. Again, it probably doesn't matter because we're about to tear all this up, but balance has been restored. But one thing we can do is grab all of this Invar, because we are short on it. And take it with us. So for now we can plop all of our Invar in here to help out. And we'll let that take its course. And don't get run over while we're here. Okay, now that we're back here, we can sort of start picking up a bunch of this junk and see what happens to it. Because we're going to need to have rules for all these things. And for anything we don't have rules for, we'll have to add those in. But we'll have this junk warehouse we can use right now. And we'll see about improving it in a bit. We just need to see what we're going to get overloaded on. My inventory's too full, even the junk slots. Looks like we don't have a rule for the basic circuit boards. We'll just grab one stack of those for now and see where they go. None for copper either, but we could probably replace the copper wire with the copper plates instead. And remove all of the wire out of our inventory here. Probably want another reverse factory. Let's see if there's another tier. Not quite. So we'll make the one we can. Let's see, let's make some provider chests here. Then put the brass chests in here. Just to push that stuff out as quickly as possible. Because there is a couple of random stuff in here we can get rid of. Let's see, as far as solder, we want none of it. Lead, none of it. Nickel, none of it. Tin plates, probably none of it. Electronic components, probably none. We probably don't want to have any of these bronze pipes anymore since they are inferior to what we have. There we go, I think we've cleared it out except for some stuff we actually want to keep. So we can kind of look at this and see the things that did not get sent somewhere. So like iron plates, copper plates, tin plates. So we can do something like this. It's going to take a while to get through its resources, but it eventually will. Just make that logistics filter for the iron. So now they go and move them to the proper location. Copper might be a little more difficult since we're actually not using straight up copper plates at the moment. Tin plates we are, as well as the rods. Well, for the rods we can do something like this. And tin over here. So now they're going to find where they need to go. Let's see, the wire is a little trickier because we're doing a lot of direct insertion here. And there's not a heck of a lot of space. But let's do something like that. So the copper wire is on its way. Let's see, we're doing direct insertion for the tinned copper wire, but let's just do it right here. Some of this stuff doesn't have an appropriate place to go yet. And that is okay. These bronze pipes can find their way to the reverse factory here because we definitely don't need them anymore. Let's see, aluminum found its way there, but it probably shouldn't have. Well, let's put something here then. We got to take care of all this stuff to make sure our inventory stays clean. And same thing for the bot network. Electronic components aren't going anywhere yet. And it's a bit of a mess, but let's try to modify this setup right here to make sure that these finished products go where they need to go. But let's get all these covered. And we also kind of need to jam these guys in here somehow. Probably just use some corner inserters. So that one's the passive provider. And this one is regular steel. Now then, let's see what it does. Seems better. It put concrete in there, but it really shouldn't have gone in there. Because concrete is coming from down here, which is all the way over there. And I think we are actually using the concrete for making power poles, so let's jump down there. Let's put a splitter in here. It is going to be kind of in the bus a little bit, but that is okay. There we go. Concrete has somewhere to go. So if I get rid of it, There we go, they take it down there. With bricks, it's kind of the same thing. But these are requester chests for bricks. But because they're fully loaded on what they need, it's probably not going to send the bricks there. So, another random chest. Requesting those bricks. And that should clean up our inventory. I don't know if we actually want to carry plastic on our person, because it's just not used for that much. And I think we're doing fairly good for now. Got some extra resources of various types, but we're getting it cleaned up. Okay, let's move on to the next step. But that's going to have to wait until the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.